Welcome to the Parenting Different podcast, where we share real adoption stories, have honest conversations, and give hope for the hard days. We're here to encourage parents, build understanding, and make sure that every child is seen, heard, and valued. Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Janelle Basham. If you have not listened to part 1, go back to last week's episode and listen to that. And then let's jump right in and finish up the episode here.
About birth parents, because then it's like, oh, this is what they go through. This is what it's like. So I think it's really important that we are listening to each other, adoptees, adoptive parents, birth parents, because in the end, it's the child that needs to win. Ultimately,
Right.
it's we're doing all of this for the child.
Absolutely. And I think, too, you have the things that everybody thinks about you. Adoptees, oh, we're all angry. I'm
Yes.
not angry about what happened, and I'm not angry, but I can speak to make a change. And I can use what happened to educate
Mm-hmm.
adoptive parents so that they can make better choices
Yeah.
with their adoptees. And then the same thing with adoptive parents. They have, oh, they're all saviors. They think they're all saviors and they're rescuing. No, there's a lot of them that don't and are doing the hard work. And so society puts these labels on all of us. And if we don't like a label about ourselves, whatever that is, maybe the other side, which there shouldn't be sides, but there are,
Right.
um, but maybe the other side doesn't like the label that's being put on them either. And we need to really think that through and look at all sides and, like you said, consider what is right for the child, because ultimately it's not about either of the parents. It's what is right for that child. And is having an open adoption and having that communication what is right for that child? Do it. Go all in, put your pride aside. There are going to be times when your child is going to, maybe the birth mother isn't being consistent and is struggling and is having a hard time. And now that relationship is not healthy for your child. We've experienced this very recently, and we've had to kind of set some boundaries and pull back. And that has been hard, very hard,
Yeah.
especially as an adoptee, because I'm like, oh, what am I doing? But I have to look at the child again. Like, it's not about me and it's not about redeeming my childhood or whatever. It's the child is being hurt right now. And so now I need to change the relationship for now. This is not a forever thing. This is
Yeah.
for now. And let the child lead. And again, you're not saying don't have boundaries with your child, but let the child lead. Are they wanting that relationship with their adoptive or with their birth parent?
Yeah.
How can you facilitate that in a healthy way? Are they
Yes.
saying, not right now, this is too much, I'm overwhelmed? How can you facilitate that in the right way? And
Right.
being kind to all sides and really looking at it's about the child at the end of the day.
I love that. I love it. And in my own experience, again, looking back with hindsight, Barb, the adoptive mom, was setting expectations for Catherine to be like, this is what healthy communication looks like. This is what it should look like moving forward whenever, the transition happens.
Yeah.
And so when the situation isn't great, I think it's perfectly appropriate for parents to say, birth parents are really important. This is how we're choosing to communicate right now, or
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. Or are there things, maybe the birth parent isn't involved, but still using that language so the child knows, like, there's not shame associated with their story and where they came from. So I think language is so important, and our
Yes.
tone is so important, and age appropriate conversations are so important.
Yes. So true. I always say age appropriate honesty. Kids can understand hard things. They
Yeah,
can. They
absolutely.
can accept, but they can't handle lies or not getting the truth, because that's just going to come back and bite you later. Because when I
Yeah.
found out the truth of some of the things, like even finding out, I I was way too old when I discovered this, but realizing that it was not illegal for me to have contact with my birth mom before 18. That wasn't a law. I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
that when I realized that and discovered that, that it was always the law. So it
Yeah.
wasn't their responsibility, it was that's the law. And
Yeah.
that wasn't, and that just built resentment. It
Yeah, it breaks
wasn't,
trust. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, well, what was your motive in that? Why did you say that? Even if you thought, like, genuinely thought that was true, I mean, a quick search. Like, can we just do a quick search here and find the truth? But there was no effort to find the truth, even if that is what they believed. And so I think it's really important to, hey, this is a closed adoption and your mom is just not in a place right now to have communication with you, but we've tried.
Yeah.
That rejection, I could have handled the rejection.
Yeah.
It's later finding out that it wasn't even attempted or whatever. That's where the real hurt is going to come
And I tend to think of my years of working in adoption and working with families who it was all domestic adoption that I worked with. Some international, but it was a lot of love will be enough. And again, this was early 2000s when I was working in adoption.
in. Yeah.
Um, and I don't think they grasped with technology. You might not be giving the answers to your child now, but they're going to get those answers.
Oh,
They're going to
yes.
find out the story, whether, and like have control of it now rather than when they're out of your house or they're in their freshman year of college and they're getting hit with this information. Like, be kind to your child and like give them those tools to process things along the way with the DNA tests that are out there, with like the information is all out there. So if you're not going to tell the story, they'll find it out someday in a way
Yeah.
that might be really hurtful to them.
That's very true. And I think even like you mentioned, just zooming in on a picture and seeing in the background, you
Oh yeah,
saw a phone book,
phone book.
which, but I mean, this goes to prove that when biology is separated, they will find a way back. They will, because somehow, some way, because for me, I found out who my birth mom was by her senior picture. Her name was whited out, and I just scratched it off. And then I was able
Brilliant.
to find her name. I don't know why that didn't, well, no, I had just been given her picture. So I didn't even have her picture before. There was like a stack of things that I didn't even get until I was 18. So there was a Bible, there were a couple pictures, and there was a letter and a cassette tape. She had recorded my whole story on a cassette tape. And I didn't have any of that until I was 18. So then at 18, I'm scratching off the back of a picture and scratching off whiteout. And I'm sure the agency put that whiteout on there and really thought they were doing something, but
It was probably like an intern. That's like, oh, that'll take
I
care of
don't
it.
know. The agency closed,
Oh,
like, the agency I was adopted through, I found out closed in 93. I'm like, wow, you were really
it's
out there
probably
doing
good.
something.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. So I guess I should be thankful I even had that stuff. But
That is
it
true.
was, yeah. But I've found so many other ways, like, since then, it still was a little tricky because it was early 2000s when I found my birth mom. And so it was tricky to find her. Now, like, I was able to find my birth dad without a first name, absolutely nothing. Like,
Love that.
nothing. DNA test and somebody who kind of knew something, and we were able to track it down. And I mean, wow, did we uncover some affairs. Like, you cannot hide stuff with DNA tests. It's
Oh,
kind of hilarious. And I especially thought it was funny because, I mean, to me, it's like walking into a soap opera. I don't know these people. I don't know who they
right.
are, but like,
Yeah.
it's just hilarious. And then finding out who my birth dad was through that, like, you cannot hide stuff now. Your
Oh,
affairs are going to be out there. Everything's going to be out there now.
yeah. There's a few groups on Facebook that I kind of stalk a little bit about like finding a lost family member. And within 3 hours, boom, the search angel
Yep.
has found him. I'm like, oh my gosh, this wasn't
Yes, it's
possible 10
wild.
years ago. Like
No.
this, it changes everything. So I think it's so important to be honest. And
Yes.
yeah, I want to go back to what you said about a Bible, a recording, and what else?
Yeah. But and then a couple
Pictures?
pictures. So there was
Okay.
her senior picture was in there, and then she had gone on to have 2 other kids that she well, 3 total later that she parented, but in that
Okay.
picture, there were 2.
No. Okay.
And then but then once the agency closed, all communication stopped. So,
Yeah.
I was born in '86 and the agency closed, I think it was like '93, '94. So
Okay.
from then on, there was nothing. So I only
Nothing. Yeah.
have a couple things. And any of the letters, I don't have any letters either. I don't know what happened to those. I don't have any of those. Um, they were
Hmm.
referenced in the cassette tape. So it's very interesting. She recorded, I guess my parents had written her a letter and asked who my father was and like any medical background because there was no, I mean, at that time, there was like no medical history, no
Right.
nothing. And so
Wow.
she recorded she was like, "This'll be easier than writing it all out." And so she just recorded it on a cassette tape and just talked. And it was wild because now I like, at this point, I didn't even listen to it. So when at first, I had no interest in listening to it. So I didn't listen to it
Yeah.
until it was with my husband 2 years ago, maybe? Like, just recently. Yeah. And so I listened to it, and now that I've just like, now I know who my birth dad is, I know all these things. It was
Yeah.
insane. I like, everything was a lie. Like, none of it was true.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Even, like, she was talking about her health conditions, and I was like, "Did they just call it something else then?" And I'm Googling things, literally not even a thing. Like, it all of it was a lie. So, it was very interesting. I'm kind of glad I didn't listen to it before, like, now with the internet what it is, I was able to fact
Right.
check very quickly, but I actually took notes, and I found it in a notebook the other day of all the notes that I took while I was listening to it. And then I was able to go back and kind of fact check things, and yeah, it was very interesting. Like, even who my father was and the story of my conception was a complete lie. It's wild.
You know, I it's hard to look back. Like I know that I wrote Catherine a very, very long letter, very long, and I probably sent it to the adoptive family like in her first year of life. And I wonder if I went back and read that, would I find stuff that wasn't truth? Like in that moment, is there
Yeah.
something that I sugarcoated or I don't know, and I don't remember.
No,
And
I'm sure.
I asked Catherine probably a year or two ago, I'm like, "Did you ever read a letter from me?" She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'm really okay if you didn't read it." I don't remember anything about it. But yeah, and so many people don't realize like when a woman makes an adoption plan, there's a reason. Like she's going through something traumatic or she's just in a really bad time of life. And so I think that's why it is so beautiful that we have the ability to have ongoing communication because to say this is who your birth parent is from that little snippet
Yes.
just isn't fair. It's not fair to the
No, it's
child,
not.
it's not fair to her. Like I am so thankful that Barb and Dale were like, "No, we want to know her because who I was at 17 is so different. My family is so different. Like the dynamics, my health, everything is so different." And with that, now that my daughter has had a son, like this is generational now for us. Um,
Yeah.
and so thinking about what Barb did to like stay connected. A few years ago, Catherine was at a doctor's appointment and she shot me a text really quick, like, "Hey, I need background information. I'm filling out the paperwork, filling out the paperwork at a doctor's appointment." And I'm like, wow, I'm so thankful that while she's filling
Yeah.
out paperwork for her son, she can reach out to me and I can be like, this is the updated information. here it is. And
Yeah.
that's all because of her mom making sure that that relationship was there. So,
Yeah, that's huge, and I think that's something even now, I've met both of my parents, and I still don't have that. I still don't have that knowledge. Even, I mean, last week in the hospital, they're like, "Do you have a family history of this?" I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know.
And I hate
And
that. It doesn't need to be
yeah,
like that.
well,
Yeah.
and then even things like on that cassette tape, the family history, I'm like, "That's not even a real thing." So, I don't know what you were trying to describe or but that wasn't a thing. So, I can't even take that. Like, she probably thought she was giving me a gift of family history, and I can't even use
Yeah.
that because it's not real information. So,
Oh,
it's just I don't know, it's weird, and it's a weird I guess for me, I'm so used to it that it's almost strange when people can and they do know all that stuff. I'm like, "That's a lot of information to know."
yeah,
You gotta fill
yeah.
all those I just put "I'm adopted," and then I don't have to fill out any of the paperwork.
Done. That's
And
true.
that's a lot of paper you gotta fill out that I don't have to.
Right.
So there are, I guess, benefits.
There
And
are
I guess
some benefits, yeah.
there's also, like, the benefit of not having the anxiety of worrying about things because
Yeah,
but then also, when something does happen, you're like, "Okay, well, am I dying now? Because I don't
right,
know." I have no
right.
clue. Yeah, it's weird. It's very strange. And
That
I think
is
what's really strange is, like, knowing that other people like, that's my normal, right? Like, I don't really think about it,
yeah.
but for other people to have, like, generations of information is wild to me. Like, that's
Oh,
crazy.
interesting. Yeah, I guess and I love that we can have this conversation. I just hearing that, I'm like, "Mm, yeah, we need to do better." Like, as an adoption community, we need to do better. I had an experience last week, a friend of mine, her husband passed away, and, she's a birth mom. I adore her, and it was such a beautiful moment at her husband's funeral, and I watched this birth mom sit down in that horrible, sad moment with her adoptive mom beside her, and she has 2 small kids, and her birth mother was there, and the family that adopted her child was there, and I was like, this is what it's about. This is showing up, being human, supporting each other, like, making it better for the child, for the birth mother, for the adoptive like, this is what it's all about because it's generational. It is. It's having that information, that medical information, having it not be an awkward conversation of, "How do I get this information?" It's like, we're family. Even if we're not
Yeah.
genetically connected, like, we are bonded together whether we like it or not, like, this is who we are. This is us, and this is okay, and
Yeah.
being okay with that.
Right, and it's going to be awkward. It's not going to be this smooth always smooth sailing, but is any family smooth sailing? No.
No.
So, you're going to have awkward moments and times where you have to set boundaries and times in any family relationship. So, we're just making it a bigger thing in this situation because it's supposed to be a bigger thing, I guess. But it doesn't have to be. It can be so much simpler and we can just be open and honest with each other. And I think that that creates so much safety and security for the child too. To know that both parents get along, that they don't have to hide anything, their feelings or towards either one, like the birth mom being secure with the fact that the child loves and adores their adoptive parent and vice versa. And I think that that is so important because kids should never be in a place I mean, we talk about that all the time with divorced families, right? They shouldn't be in a place where they're stuck in between mom and dad. Well, same thing. They shouldn't be in a place where they're stuck in between.
Yeah. Yep. I, it's so funny if Barb was sitting right here and you would see like adoptive mom and birth mom. It's funny because I don't think she's changed her hairstyle in however long as I've known her. I have a history of changing my hair color every so often. Like I wear bright glasses, and she is just as simple as they come. And we are so polar opposite, but we have so much love and respect for each other.
Yeah.
And I am so thankful that she never sat there and was like, wow, Janelle's kind of eccentric sometimes or this way. And it was just like, we just love Janelle for who she is. Um, and that's gone down through the generations now. And I'm thankful that I've been able to see that, see that I can, you know, text my grandson. And the other, he went back to school yesterday. I'm like, all right, go have fun, learn all the things. Like, I'm like, wow,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
and going back even to after placement and learning how to have that hole in my heart, that hole will never be filled ever. And now it's kind of like, I'm glad I didn't fill it up with other stuff. I'm glad I learned like how to walk around with it and process life and learn to be okay with that hole, because that has gone into other parts of my life where I'm like, I can deal with life and all the hard stuff that comes at me because I learned how to do that, like walking, well, riding in a wheelchair out of the hospital was the hardest thing I will
Sure.
ever have to do. Ever, ever. I adore my husband. I like, but choosing to say, I'm not the best like that's not natural. It's not normal. And to
Right.
now have the gift of being included, um, it's this is how it should be. I was loved
Yes.
really, really well by the adoptive parents, and that just trickled down, and now it's gonna go through the generations. Yeah, so for me, like, I just wanna see that ripple effect go out and see more adoptees, birth parents, like, have that type of relationship where they are loved well.
Yeah. That's huge. And I think you just actually said something that made me think too. A lot of adoptive parents have a hole in their heart as well. Because so many
Absolutely.
adoptive parents, like, they came to adoption for one reason or another, and often it's
Mhm,
infertility. Like, we see that
mhm.
often, that it's infertility. Obviously, not always, but often. And I think there is that hole, and we talk about healing and making sure you grieve that and go through that process because a child cannot an adopted child cannot be responsible for filling that hole. And I think that that is so profound too. It's not about healing that hole and fixing it. You're going to have that hole, but can
Mhm.
you live successfully and not try and fill it with that child? Can you go above and beyond for the child and embrace other biological relationships, whether that's parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles? Can you embrace those other relationships in with your child if you have that hole that you haven't tended to or you're
Yeah,
trying to fill? You are not going to do what's right for the child because your view is going to be skewed. And I found that with myself. I accidentally kind of healed, and it wasn't necessarily like it was a subconscious thing that I knew that I needed to take that time, and I think partly because I was adopted and because all I wanted was to have my own biological child so I could have a biological connection with somebody. I wanted
mm,
that so badly. I mean, so badly. And when that door closed, I took that time, and it was a subconscious thing. I didn't just go into adoption. Hindsight, again, like, nobody told me to do that. I didn't sit there and say I needed that. I'm so grateful I did, though. And
right.
now I can walk alongside friends who I went from not being able to go to church on Mother's Day because it was so painful, I couldn't be there, to now I have friends texting me all the little nitty-gritty updates of their pregnancies, and I'm so genuinely happy for them, and I am totally fine with where I'm at in life. Do I still have that twinge sometimes of, "That'd be really cool to be biologically connected to somebody?" Yeah, of
Yeah,
course I do.
yeah.
But I have this other life and a greater purpose, And I think it's so important to not fill that hole because your adopted children won't fill it. They won't. You will be disappointed. They will be disappointed. And it's going to just hurt all of the relationships. And then that's also going to make your guard go higher for developing those biological relationships with their birth parents. It just will.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I went to counseling, I don't know, 15 years ago for something non-adoption related at all. I was probably just stressed out with life. Who knows? Everybody should be in counseling. That's my
Yes.
theory.
Agreed.
And I went to a counselor who was like, there there's a hole that's just never been filled. And I was like, where are we going with this? And she's like, you place this child for adoption and you have this hole in your heart. And I was sitting there thinking, where did this come from? Why are you putting this on me? This is not why I'm here. Like, I'm
Right.
okay with my hole. I'm fine. Like, this is okay. I still have a lot of joy. And I think when I was reunited with her, in some ways I thought like, oh, I will be complete now. And don't want I'm okay with having that hole in my heart because I've come so far.
Yeah.
And I feel like, she is my greatest accomplishment. I am a great mom to the children that I have parented. But to look at her and be like, I hurt so bad, and look at where you are today. Not to put her on a pedestal or that she has these, expectations that she has to reach, but it's like, I would do it all again, knowing what I know now. And not that everybody should make an adoption plan. That's not at all what I'm saying. But in my situation, it was
Yeah.
like, okay, I did a lot of hard work. She did a lot of, we're still doing work with our relationship. But to sit there with that counselor and her try and put that on me, like, this is why you're
Mhm.
going through this hard time. Like, no, I'm not. I had young kids. I was, struggling with life or whatever.
Right.
Um, but it's hard when people want to like associate other things with like, well, that must be adoption. I'm like, it's not.
Right.
I'm okay. I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
It took me a lot of time to get there. Um, but yeah, I think it was Barb, the adoptive mom, the first person that I heard say what you just described. Adoption is built on loss. Loss for me, from my perspective, loss for the child of the biological connections, and then loss for the adoptive parents in my situation because they were dealing with infertility. And when
Yeah.
you can say, like, hey, we are all going through stuff, it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah.
Doesn't
It
fix it,
does.
but it makes it easier.
Right,
Makes it
exactly,
easier.
and I think too often we're looking for a fix, right? In our society, everybody wants to fix everything, and some things are not meant to be fixed. And I think especially when we're dealing with humans, like,
Mhm.
and
Right.
children, we can't fix them. We can do whatever we can to be there and support them in the right way and make good choices with the children that we are entrusted with, but we can't fix it. And I think acknowledging that you can't fix it, one, it takes a lot of pressure off of you because that's a lot of pressure to think we have to fix things
Right.
and fix a
Exactly.
whole human. So there's that, but then there's also just that relationship of, hey, we're in this together and this really sucks. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It
Yep.
just sucks. And it just is. And there's so many things with adoption all throughout it that it just is. You can't
Yeah.
fix it. It just
Nope.
is. And trying to fix it is only going to make it worse.
Mhm. Yeah. Because you won't fix it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, I love this.
I know. This has been so good. What is one thing, as we wrap up here, what is one thing that you would tell adoptive parents who are scared? They've watched the Lifetime movies, they've heard the horror stories, the Facebook posts, and, of the the birth mom
Yeah.
destroying everything, they've heard it all, and they want to do what's right, but they're very fearful. What would you say to them?
That's a loaded question. I love it. I think education is so important. Like, and with Brave Love, it's a lot about educating birth parents on what their rights are and adoptive, like all that stuff. But to sit there and really educate yourself on what does it look like to be in other people's shoes. So if you are considering adoption, what does it like? Let's put ourselves in the shoes of an adoptee. Take the time to do that hard work before jumping into an adoption, whether it's like a placement through foster care or what does this really look like? Not a I just want to grow my family. Like, are you really equipped for this? For people who already have a child in their home, and are scared, I think it's okay to say, like, I need help or I'm scared. So I'm really big on community. With Brave Love, we do birth mother dinners and different things like that, where you just get to be around people that understand what you're going through. You don't even have to talk about adoption. It's just, I need to be around other people that are going through the same things. So I think community, and then also just consistently educating yourself. I've been in the adoption field for 31ish 2ish years, and adoption has drastically changed. So to say, like, I've educated myself for 10 years, I would have missed out on so much more. And I would encourage people too to talk about adoption. Talk about, like, figure out the right language. Talk to people about it. Find your support people. Adoption is hard, and going into it like, oh, this is wonderful, this is great. It is, but it's hard work. So being able to say, I'm signing up for this and I'm all in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. I feel like we could talk for hours still, but
And
I appreciate you joining me and sharing your heart, and I hope
yeah,
our listeners get a lot out of this because I did.
right.
I definitely did. So thank
Perfect.
you.
Perfect. Well, until our next conference,
Yes.
we'll see each other again.
Yes, for sure.